The observation deck of the Covenant station hummed with the quiet murmur of a dozen different species conducting their business. Lisa watched from her table near the viewport as Jackson pulled out his combat knife, laying a maintenance cloth beside it. The blade caught the light of the distant star, throwing prismatic reflections across their corner of the deck. "You're doing that here?" Lisa asked, raising an eyebrow. Jackson shrugged, his weathered hands already working oil into the metal. "Needs doing. Besides, it's not like anyone cares." He was wrong about that. The Vryn delegate, a towering creature with iridescent scales and 4 precisely articulated arms, had been passing their table when it stopped. Its vertical pupils contracted as it fixed its gaze on the knife in Jackson's hands. "Human," the Vryn said, its voice carrying the metallic timbre of its translator implant. "That weapon. May I observe it more closely?" Jackson glanced at Lisa, who gave a subtle nod. "Sure," he said, holding the blade flat on his palm. "Just looking, though." The Vryn leaned down and Lisa noticed how the creature's breathing had changed. Shorter, faster. Its secondary arms trembled slightly. "These markings," the Vryn whispered, tracing a claw just above the engravings without touching the blade. "This symbol here, the wings and sword. And this one, the anchor with rope. Human, where did you acquire this weapon?" Jackson's expression hardened slightly. "Didn't acquire it, earned it. That's my unit insignia." He pointed to the winged sword. "And that's my grandfather's naval emblem. He had it put on before he passed it to me." "Your grandfather's?" The Vryn's head tilted in that peculiar way that indicated deep confusion among its species. "This blade has seen combat, then?" "Multiple engagements. 3 tours," Jackson confirmed, resuming his cleaning. "Gramps served in the water wars. I carried it through the frontier conflicts." The Vryn straightened abruptly, its scales shifting to a darker hue. Lisa recognized the color change. It meant distress or alarm among the Vryn people. Within moments, 2 more aliens had approached. A Keltheran with its crystalline carapace refracting light, and a Morthene whose tentacles writhed with barely contained emotion. "Is it true?" the Keltheran asked, its voice like wind chimes. "A human heirloom blade? One that has tasted battle?" Lisa stood slowly, her hand instinctively moving near her sidearm. "What's going on?" The Morthene's translator crackled to life. "Forgive us. We do not mean alarm, but you must understand. Among the civilized species of the Galactic Council, weapons are impersonal, manufactured, registered, assigned. They are tools, nothing more." "And?" Jackson asked, still holding his knife. And the Vryn continued, "We have heard stories, rumors about humanity's warriors, about how you carry pieces of your history into battle, about how you name your ships after the dead and engrave your weapons with memory. We thought these were exaggerations. Propaganda, perhaps, to make your species seem more formidable." Jackson barked a laugh. "Formidable? It's just a knife." "No," the Keltheran said firmly. "It is not just anything. That blade carries your grandfather's wars, your wars. Among our peoples, such a thing is incomprehensible. When we fight with standard equipment manufactured by the lowest bidder, distributed by logistics algorithms. When the battle ends, we return the equipment. We do not keep it. We do not pass it down. We do not engrave it with the symbols of our victories or our fallen." Lisa felt the weight of their words settling over the deck. Other species had begun to gather, drawn by the commotion. She could see dozens of eyes and eye analogs fixed on Jackson's knife. "You have to understand," the Morthene added, its tentacles now still. "We have weapons that can crack planets, ships that can cross the galaxy in days. But this," it gestured toward the blade, "this we do not have. This connection to violence that makes it personal. Sacred, even." Jackson looked down at the knife, then back up at the assembled aliens. "Every scratch on this blade tells a story. This one here," he pointed to a nick near the hilt. "That's from when I had to cut through a crashed shuttle's frame to pull out 3 wounded Marines. This one," another mark, "from a Krev raider who got too close in close quarters. And these emblems? They remind me why I fight, who I fight for." The observation deck had gone completely silent. "When the Devourers came to your colony worlds last year," the Vryn said quietly, "we sent fleets, millions of ships, each one identical to the next, crewed by soldiers who saw it as a duty cycle, nothing more. But humanity sent fewer ships, and yet you held the line where we could not. We wondered why. Now I understand, the Keltheran added. You do not fight with weapons. You fight with history, with memory, with the weight of every battle that came before carried in metal and blood. Jackson carefully sheathed the knife, sliding it back into his boot. It's not complicated. This knife reminds me that I'm not the first to stand in the dark, and I won't be the last. My grandfather faced his wars. I face mine. Someday maybe I'll pass this on to someone who'll face theirs. That's all? That's all, the Morthene repeated, its voice filled with something that might have been awe. That is everything. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Lisa sat back down across from Jackson. You know you just became a legend in about 15 different languages, right? Jackson grunted, pulling out his cloth again. Still needs cleaning. But Lisa noticed how the other species watched them leave the observation deck later, their gazes lingering not on the humans themselves, but on the knife at Jackson's side and the weight of history it carried. In the cold mathematics of galactic warfare, humanity had introduced a variable the others had never calculated: memory, forged in steel and passed through generations. It was the aliens were beginning to understand humanity's most terrifying weapon of all,